So, if I want to continue editing this later on, it's important that we save our Photoshop document. So to do that, what we need to do is we need to go to File, go to Save as Copy. We need to click on your computer, down in the bottom left corner, and choose where in which we want to put it. So I'm going to put it in my Photoshop file. I'm going to save it here. It needs to be in format. The format needs to be Photoshop. I'm going to save it as moving image, and then I'm going to click Save, and then I'm going to click OK. So that means that now, if I go to my file, it's there. So I can always come back, open that up, and then continue doing my editing from that point. The other thing that we need to do is that we need to start creating our stills. So we need to create multiple stills in order to create our motion, because each of these stills are slightly adjusted, so they create, when you go through them, they create movement like an animation. That's what we're going to be trying to do for our GIF. So in order to do that, what you need to do is you need to go to your document. You need to first of all save this first page as a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Export As. I'm going to make sure the format is JPEG, the quality is at its highest, and then I'm going to click Export. I'm going to choose where I'm going to save it. I think I'm just going to save it here for now rather than in my stills folder, but you should create a stills folder for those different images. And I'm going to call that one 1. So that's my first still. Now that I've done my first still, I can then make these slight movements to my different objects. If I choose to rotate it, I need to make sure I click the tick box. I'm going to move them ever so slightly. I'm not going to do massive movements because you want to get slow, gradual movement. I'm going to make this one slightly smaller, making sure I click the tick box. And then once I've done all my adjustments, I'm then going to go back up, press File, then I'm going to go to Export, Export As, making sure the format is JPEG, the quality is at its highest, click Export, saving it in here as number 2 because this is our second still. Then I'll do the same thing again. I'll move my different objects, my different shapes. If I'm rotating it, making sure I click the tick box. This goes down here. This one going a little bit smaller, making sure I click my tick box. Then when I'm done, going back up to the top, pressing File, Export, Export As, making sure the format's JPEG, quality is at its highest, Export, and then I'm going to call this one 3. And I'm going to continue doing that process until I've got every still ready and I've got a file filled with perhaps 7 or more, depending on how many stills you want for your GIF. And that's going to prepare us for when we put our GIF together, because our GIF is going to be made up of all these different images to create this motion, this movement, this moving type.